Very warm welcome to the show. And there's still anger across Nigeria over the attack on one of the elite correctional centers in Nigeria, the Kuje Correctional Center. And that facility is one that houses some of the top VIPs in the country that have been convicted, and then also houses some of the terrorists leaders that have been arrested. Some of them are awaiting trial, and then some of them charged and convicted. And the attack on that facility with several Boko Haram fighters freed has left a lot of Nigerians aghast, and President Muhammadu Buhari even tweeting and saying that he's demanding a comprehensive report from the security services. And he actually said that he's saddened by the attack on the custodial center. And I will quote him. He said, "I am disappointed with the intelligence system. How can terrorists organize, have weapons, attack a security installation and get away with it? I am expecting a comprehensive report on this shocking incident." And of course, the Nigeria Correctional Center Services says more than 443 inmates of the medium security custodial center in Kuje are still at large following the attack on the facility. Now, the attack, which was carried out by suspected terrorists which have owned up to it, with different groups actually owning up to it, led to the jailbreak with 879 inmates escaping. But as at the press time, when President Buhari visited on Wednesday, about 443 were said to have been rearrested by security agents after a manhunt was launched. But this is what officials had to say after the president's visit.
Everything is under control. The people who came to do these activities, from the records, we believe that they belong to a particular group, and most likely they are Boko Harams, because we have sizable number of Boko Harams that are in detentions, and presently we could not locate any of them. All the number, I think there are about 64 that is in the prison, and none of them now is available. They have all escaped.
Well, basically I came in this morning to commiserate with the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Correctional Services and his colleague of the Nigerian Civil Defense, as well as His Royal Highness the Gomo of Kuje, over the incident that happened yesterday, and also to commend the gallant officers that tried their best, and also to sympathize over the death of a very fine, gallant officer from the Nigerian Civil Defense Authority who was gunned down by the criminals.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's major opposition, the People's Democratic Party, has condemned the level of insecurity in the country, especially the recent attacks, including against President Muhammadu Buhari's advance convoy in Katsina State, as well as the Kuje Correctional Facility. Now, in a statement, the PDP went very, very hard on the governing All Progressives Congress, accusing it of being complicit in the security issues that are ongoing, even as supporters of the All Progressives Congress, members and some of the chieftains of the party are saying that PDP is politicizing security matters. And of course, joining us on the show to take a look at all of this, including a statement, is the spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party, Debo Ologunagba, and the National Publicity Secretary is right here with us. Thank you for joining us on the show. The governing APC is not so much at home with the tone of your press statement. They said you were politicizing security matters and saying that the ruling party is complicit. What did you actually mean by the content of your statement?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Sumner. I think the first way to start this is not to even mention politics. It's to have a sober reflection about our country, to take stock of where we are. In your reporting, you just mentioned that someone was killed. He was described as a gallant officer of the civil defense. That singular death means so much for Nigeria. Number one, A father, a son, a husband has died. Living, widow, possible kids without father, and the implication for that for society. The unfortunate thing is that the APC looks at everything from the prism of politics, because that is who they are. We're talking about lives being lost here. We're talking about a serious security challenge for this nation. Rather than for the APC to come forward to speak about that and ask for help, what do you find? You find them consistent with their behavior. They're not ready, they're clueless, they have no idea what to do, they're confused. They try to pass the buck. I've always said that, and I'll repeat again to all Nigerians, that a bad workman complains about his tools. A hopelessly irredeemable one complains about others. What is there in that statement that's not true? Was it PDP that admitted that the APC brought in terrorists into this country in 2019 to rig election? Is Malam El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State PDP, that said openly after the Kaduna rail bomb blast, confirming that indeed the APC leadership knows the terrorists, knows their whereabouts, and in fact he said they listen into their conversation. I think the APC should just come up and apologize to Nigerians for this monumental pain they recognize every day, and for their insensitivity from top to bottom. You recall President Buhari said he would take us from top to bottom. Well, the good thing now that we're not even at the bottom, we're below the bottom. And we need to be careful.
Well, I mean, isn't it because of insecurity that the PDP was swept out of power too? I mean, the same things you're blaming the APC against is what your government couldn't tackle, and it was swept out of power in 2015. So it has shown to Nigerians that the security matters that we have right now should be handled nationally, and then with matters of sensitivity at heart, because it has gone beyond political matters. Now, and the APC is saying that the PDP is accusing it of being complicit in all of this, and that you are unfair to them because it looks like you're taking advantage of the security situation.
The sad thing is that, like I said, and I will repeat that again, when you don't want the heat, don't go near the kitchen. If APC knows that they're completely unprepared like they are now, very apparent to Nigeria, they shouldn't have come in with the fraud, with the propaganda in 2015 to lie to Nigerian people. This president ran on the fact that one is a general in the army, which was deceptive, because now his capacity as a commander-in-chief is being challenged by a non-state actor. And for this government to recognize that Islamic State for West Africa is indeed responsible, what does that mean? It's an abdication and admission of failure. It is sad that we say this, but these are the realities.
Yeah, but the commander-in-chief was there at the custodial center. I mean, just yesterday, I mean, he saw everything himself, and he has ordered a comprehensive investigation.
You just put up with the tweet from the president, and I'm happy that the president for once is now beginning to use the tweet. That was what he banned last year.
Well,
no,
politicizing that
no, it's not politicizing, because those are the principles and all the ingredients of good democracy, where people must speak, and in speaking they give you advice. In that statement, we didn't just say this is bad. We gave suggestions. But typical of this government, they don't listen, or probably they listen, they can't comprehend. We suggested, because the president seems to have said, I'm overwhelmed. This is what we always talk about. The leadership. Oh, look, a problem comes in the life of a nation. But what a commander-in-chief does in times of adversity like this is to transmute into consoler-in-chief. You recall in September 11, President Bush was out on an official engagement. What did he do? He cut that he came back.
Yeah, I think he was in a primary school.
Absolutely, talking about education.
things and all of that.
About education, because you know that's the future of his country. Now, upon blast, and the correctional center in the heart of Abuja, the residents, the abode of the president. The president went there and took off. What is he saying? You are on your own.
Well,
that's why the party. That's why I say
not
no.
to seem as if I'm defending the presidency, but
Yeah.
Garba Shehu, the president's spokesman, was interviewed by the national broadcaster in Dakar, and he made it very clear that the reason why the president had to go to that international assignment is not to make it look like the terrorists are stopping the president from doing his job, and that as a leader he has to show that Nigeria is still running and that the country cannot be afraid of terrorists, and that the government will do something about that.
I like that word. The government will do something. We have this forever, and that's why the Nigerian people need to know that yes, this is a government that has failed, and the government has admitted failure because the president said he's disappointed. How can you say you are disappointed in your own service chiefs, in your own people that you appointed, and you are the commander-in-chief? Come on.
So if PDP was in power, what would it have done?
What
would have the PDP president done?
There will be responsibility like we always do, and we have people who has rolled during the PDP era. You find out, even on the issue of corruption, this PDP in government at that point jailed an IG of police. That is courage. That's leadership. We haven't found that here because this is a party, and anyway, it's not a party. I call them SPV, a special purpose vehicle that was hurriedly put together by contradictory behavior of people, and that's why today they are still not there. They can't govern. They're here, and that's why every time, oh, somebody else is responsible. Somebody else. Here for once, let the president take charge. I do not know what is more important in Dakar than having your home under attack. Same Garba Shehu said something, and the release was appalling to me when he said, condemning the attack on the advance team of the president. And he said that it was sad and unwelcome development. Do you welcome insecurity? How does he mean by unwelcome? Again, this is the level of impunity of the APC. They may not want to hear this, but Nigerian people now hear it loud and clear that this is a government, this is a party that's unprepared for government leadership. The president has abdicated. Your house is burning and you are going for a conference. How can you concentrate in that conference? It's actually a misnomer there because you won't even participate in that conference. But that's not about it. The Nigerian people have gone through a lot. The PDP is here on a mission to rescue and rebuild our country and redirect it. We know it, and we are already set on that plan. We're ready for it. Nigerian people now know. Go on the street.
Yeah, but
now you mentioned
caught in here.
Sorry, sir. One minute, sir. Sambo. You give us statistics of people that are accounted for. The average man on the street is concerned. Driving through here, the street is empty. Those are consequences.
Isn't it because people are beginning to go for the Muslim festivities?
How many people can travel by road? They are afraid. To go to Akure, where I come from, it's 97,000 now. This is an economy that is collapsing. The people can go on the road. Travels at this period should be fun because family members should come together because it's festivities. These are time people should rejoice, have family. That is being broken under the watch of this government. And we should be concerned as a people. We suggested something in that statement. We're asking and calling for National Council of State meeting, urgent one, so that if the president needs help, that body should be able to tell him, you know what? Sorry, sir, it seems you're overwhelmed. Let's help you. Because he needs help so that this country can be together.
Yeah, but weren't you worried for President Muhammadu Buhari when you heard that his convoy was attacked? I mean, as an opposition party,
I was scandalized.
Yeah, but the party didn't issue a statement.
No, we condemn everyone. If you look at that, we condemn the two incidents. We condemn the two.
Yes, you condemned it after the Kuje incident.
No, because you see, they were both
not directly.
They were almost
after the.
How many hours apart? These were coordinated attacks. Look at the time. Because again, I was studying the statement by the presidency, and I was appalled. Actually, was shocked that you would say to us that insecurity attacking the convoy of the president is unwelcome. How can you welcome insecurity? We expect, and that's when you talk about complicity, Those are the signals that we find. And I'll say this. In the Kuje prison attack, there were 2 points that the government has not talked about. And I expect that there should be comment from that. 2 things. One, that the DSS, there was an allegation that the DSS actually gave that information.
Yes, and that's, hold on, let me just read out to you from your statement. Yeah. You said the failure of the APC administration to act on the intelligence provided by the Directorate of State Services, that's the Department of State Service, which on Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, reportedly warned of an impending attack on the Kuje Correctional Facility, gives credence to fears by Nigerians of complicity at very high level of the APC administration. Isn't that too hard? Why bring the party into security matters?
Again, when you are a party in government, you take responsibility. When we voted for this government, we weren't voting for excuses. We were voting for leadership. We were voting for what he promised he would do, that he would lead the war on terrorism from the front. We know what the front means to APC.
When he started his government, he was seen in Sambisa, going even up to some other states where you had that
was part of the scheme to deceive us so that we can believe that something was going to happen. Nothing has ever happened. Just check the statistics. They started with Chibok girls. How many of our girls have been killed ever since? We lost count. Today is the 100th-day anniversary of the bombing of the Abuja Kaduna Rail. Some people are still in captivity. Where is the manner of leadership? Where is the empathy? Where is the concern? We are in trouble, and this government needs help. And the only help is to say, we can't, we're overwhelmed. And Nigerian people, anyway, will help them. Because they will do
one
them
accusation you had in your statement is that the PDP demands that the APC government should come clean on who ordered the reported redeployment of soldiers and who failed to act on the intelligence provided by the DSS.
I think these are legitimate.
Come to such a conclusion?
Those are legitimate requests. I'm just asking. These are reporting in the public space, not me, not PDP. It's on this in public space to say, look.
So you have concrete information that soldiers were redeployed.
They have admitted that they were redeployed 24 hours before. Why? There are soldiers who already were familiar with the terrain. What happened? Who did what? That is part of the investigation that the president is asking for. I hope he gets it. We didn't just say.
So you're not sure he will get that?
If records would prove us, then of course, for us, we hope for once that he can step up to the plate. We hope he does.
Yeah, because whenever that report is presented, you won't get to know so much about that because these are security matters. Again, running government, security matters are not made public.
I like that. But there are people, just like you have in a court case, they're what we call privilege in law. There are privileged information that you don't disclose because of their sensitivity. But it's never, and the decision of Supreme Court that says it is not privileged to the court or the judge. Similarly, you can talk about security issues, but it should not be privileged to the National Assembly at the top level. And that's why we call the National Assembly to investigate, to call the service chiefs and investigate that. So that, because that's their duty. They have a role to play.
Haven't we even seen the National Assembly doing that several times, passing resolutions?
Okay, so
they even had someone here, National Security Advisor to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and he said that House of Representatives had a document on how to resolve some of the security issues forwarded to Mr. President, handed over to him, and yet about 90% of those things are yet
I like this conversation. Wouldn't that point to suspicion of complicity? That's the question. This is a clear. We should have this conversation. We should interrogate this fact.
Yeah, but Nigeria is burning at the moment, and we need everyone to rally around.
That is why we're giving that suggestion.
Quell the terrorism.
That is why we're saying those are. We didn't just say this is bad. We're saying these are suggestions we think should happen. We hope for once that the APC would for once act like truly in the interest of Nigerians, and they will come for, because this is not about party. The only reason we're talking about politics today is that we still have some sense of some normalcy, as it were, some sense of peace and security. I'm not sure anybody's talking about campaign or security or looking for position in Ukraine. We don't want to get there. We're at the cliff, and we must admit it. But how do we get out of the cliff? Let's come together. We've been saying this forever. There are people in the highest point of government who are involved in information dissemination in this country, who are controlling it. If indeed, of course, the Boko Haram people and the terrorists actually communicated, otherwise they won't be able to get there. Who is in charge of information technology in this country and communication in this country? It's the APC. They should take for once, in the interest and for the memory of that man that was killed, who went to work, very happy to go to work, to serve his nation, and then he got cut down. And as sadly as it could be, we may never hear anything about him anymore.
I'm surprised that in your statement you didn't talk about the person who has the direct responsibility for this. Apart from President Muhammadu Buhari, he has delegated those powers to the Minister of Interior, Ralph Aregbesola. I didn't see you mentioning that.
No, again,
shouldn't such a minister be put on the spot? Because we've seen several jailbreaks under his control.
Precisely what we're saying, sir. When you appoint somebody, it's up on your desk, and you take responsibility. That's what we call leadership. If you find that person not fit and proper to occupy that position, then do the needful. If you don't, you are complicit. If you don't, it means you are negligent. If you don't, you have abdicated duty. You remember in Owo, the church killings in Owo, peaceful people, poor people, who went to speak to God. They got in there, and they were mowed down in cold blood. The minister of Interior, just reference to Ralph Aregbesola, went there and said, hey, but Ishwa, what is he saying? He's saying, hey, we have failed admission. So today we're hearing news that the Prime Minister of Britain resigned, or about to resign. That is leadership, that's responsibility.
Yeah, but we haven't seen any PDP president resigning in the midst of all the chaos that happened to an Obasanjo.
We don't let them resign.
Umaru, Musa Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, we didn't see any of them resign.
No,
so why should an APC president
we didn't let them resign. We get them out. That's leadership. That's courage. Where is the courage here? It took forever to get the former Secretary of Government out of government. It took this medical holiday of President Buhari for him to get out. That tells you the level of impunity in this country. And he can't continue. It's not me saying this, sir. This is what Nigerians are saying.
Okay.
Right in the street, find out.
Now, the National Assembly should be called to question here. You have asked the National Assembly to embark on a thorough investigation.
Correct.
If this government is found complicit in not trying to act on intelligence information in terms of some segments of government, whether the Nigerian Correctional Service or the Ministry of Interior itself, or even some other security agencies there, what do you think the National Assembly should do to put pressure on the government? Because a lot of Nigerians are there, including soldiers, including policemen and all of that. If intelligence information is being provided and is not being acted upon, what should the National Assembly do?
No, again, I mean, it has a constitutional responsibility. But again, I'll step back a little bit to say something. That's what I talk about. When you have a president who should, in times of adversity, step into the position of consular-in-chief. 37 soldiers were reportedly killed in Niger State, in the mining site. Not one word from this president. That is his principal constituency. Shouldn't he be appalled about that? Now, the National Assembly, in that statement that we issued, we didn't just make comments. We suggested, we actually requested that a vote of no confidence be passed on the Minister of Communications, who superintend over all this and coordinate all communication outside of the country. Because this is a man who has said openly that he's an apologist of terrorists.
Well,
why keep it?
That was...
he said it.
Yeah, there
so.
were lots of controversies around that.
He said so, and he has not denied that he did so. He said he has repented. And I'm asking, when does repentance abridge you from liability?
Yeah, and the Minister of Defense too. You haven't said anything about... The Minister of Defense was there alongside the President and all of that. We've seen a lot of ministers sleeping on duty in this government. And it looks like the PDP itself hasn't, faced some of these cabinet members.
No, sir. I'm not interested in cabinet ministers. There's an appointer. It goes to the level of the judgment or lack of it of the appointer. If you appoint someone and he's not carrying out the jobs, then it means there's something wrong with the appointment.
Yeah, but you understand how the presidency works. The president delegates his functions, his powers, and people are supposed to act.
When you delegate, sir, he doesn't end at that delegatee. It's the box stops on your desk. If I delegate a duty to my subordinate, I didn't deliver, and I fired the person. You remember, and this has been going on for too long, when there was that massacre in Benue State, this president said, and that's the impunity we're talking about. That's lack of leadership. And that's his abdication of duty. When he was practically pressured to visit Benue, he said on tape that, oh, I told the IG to come here. I didn't know he didn't come. What kind of manner of leadership is that?
Okay, we're actually running out of time because I don't want to be accused of being biased here. I need to give the APC their own time too. But just before we go, are you afraid for these security issues, especially on election matters, as the Osun election is coming up next weekend? What are you doing as a party to assure both the electorate in Osun State and those of your party members who are going to monitor that, I mean, they will be safe and things will go well when they get there?
Well, our expectation is that this will be a wake-up call, security agencies at this time, particularly even the president. This democracy must not fail. And the only way you can guarantee democracy and good governance is that there's security of life and property. In any event, Section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution says the only primary purpose of government is the security and welfare of the people. Now, security is slipping off. The welfare, of course, is dependent on that. We expect and we hope that all action needed to guarantee a free, fair, transparent electoral process in Osun next week will be put in place. We expect that INEC will request adequate security. We demand as a party from this president to ensure that Osun State is safe for people to go out to vote, because that election is very important. It's a referendum on the APC and its monumental failure in Osun.
Well, I hope you know you're battling an incumbent governor. Let me just remind you that, and I just also hope that you have settled some of the problems that you have on ground and you're beginning to treat the Articu wiki issue very well. I know your national chairman is out of the country and is being expected alongside the presidential candidate, but just quickly before we let you go, what's the update on that?
The update on that is that because we have a process that is robust, that we have what I call differences resolution mechanism that has set in, and because resolution of conflicts is not a 100-meter dash, it's a marathon, it's a process. It has started. The BOT has just kicked in as the conscience of the party, and that process is ongoing, and we're satisfied that we're making sure progress, not just for our party, but in the interest of Nigeria, because we know that Nigerians are looking up to the PDP. We can't afford to fail them, because here, in the midst of this insecurity and the fact that disunity is massively enlarging this country, we need to put ourselves together. We're doing that. Only yesterday, the Reconciliation Committee panel that was set up by the party submitted its first report on Osun, and they have given us a progress report of what has been done in the last 6 weeks. Okay. We're doing well. We know we win, and this is not
well,
us.
I hope you know you have Labour Party to battle with. I mean, it's not only you. Nigerians are looking up to this time around. There's an encroachment from Labour Party and many of those.
It is welcome. We welcome that is democracy. That the people can look at performances, record, as against sloganeering.
Okay.
So when slogan is different from performance, and we have records to show for that.
Right.
And we can compare and contrast. And in Osun, go to the street and find out. The people are tired of this. Just as a closing, at the debate, the governor, to tell you the level of fraud going on, he was asked the same question, but the whereabouts of the helicopter of this purchased by the state government. He couldn't answer.
Yeah, but your own candidate wasn't even there. I mean, we don't know why he didn't come.
I'm talking about the version, the BBC version of the Yoruba, probably.
Okay.
Because again, we need to speak to the people. We need to talk to the people on the ground.
Right.
And they are speaking. The important thing that this is a referendum on them. The people are listening, the people are ready, and I thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah, we just have to let you go.
I don't want to close it and say to Nigerians, keep hope alive. This nightmare will soon be over. We're counting down months and days. By 2023, the APC will be history indeed, because it is already going into liquidation, because it was an SPV. And it's a special purpose, and it will be liquidated.
All right. I didn't want us to talk so much about political matters because we have a serious issue of security.
Which is sad, and that is why I'm concerned, and we're worried. And we commensurate with Nigerians, particularly that individual that died. We feel sad. That is one more death too many for this country.
Okay. Debo Ologunagba is the National Publicity Secretary of Nigeria's main opposition, the People's Democratic Party. And it's good to know that you're ending on the very conciliatory note and then nationalistic note also. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, because security is a national matter that affects all of us. We must thank you for being on the show.